This is a band glute kickback to try to activate the glute max, kind of main butt muscle. So I got a band on the ankles. I'm going to take the foot that's moving and put it on my arch there. You can do this in shoes once you learn it, but I always recommend starting in socks or barefoot, and sometimes shoes can wear the band a little quicker. From there, I'm just going to get stable on one leg, little bend of the knee and hip, and I'm going to drive my foot straight back and down to touch the toe, and then back. I'm trying to activate the glute as I do it and keep my foot reasonably straight. Some things that can happen here, one is people will use their low back. So either they'll move their low back, or sometimes we can feel the low back tensing when it doesn't need to in this exercise. So we want to teach it to stay relaxed as the leg moves. That's one thing we might be working on. So sometimes I might get a light brace to the core, or if that doesn't do it and you're still feeling the low back, just place a hand on something on the wall or a countertop at first and see if we can get the leg motion in the glute and not the low back. Sometimes we feel the hamstring activating, and so the hamstring bends the knee, and so often that if I'm trying to keep the foot high, that can get the hamstring, and so I can think about almost sliding my toes back or keeping my toes just above the floor. And so I'm kind of driving back, trying to imagine my glute pulling the leg back. So keeping the leg a little straighter throughout can potentially help reduce if it's only feeling like it's your hamstring. And that's one reason we might use this exercise is if the hamstring is tight all the time or is prone to cramping, or if there's pain there, often the glute max might be a bit underactive. And so in this, we're trying to activate glute max with less hamstring. If the balance is an issue or you just can't get the right thing, I can just put my toes down with my knee a little bit bent, and then I'm going to straighten my knee and squeeze the glute. So that's a version that takes the balance out of it. I do get a little quad here, that's okay, but I'm really squeezing my glute as I go, and then I can add some motion here. So those are the main technique points. From the front view, just on the balancing leg, we want to feel some work in the glute too, because this is the glute medius is really what stabilizes us when we're on one leg. So I want the hips square as I do this. So as the leg goes back, I don't want to tilt. So points of the hips are facing forward. Center of the knee is over the third to fourth toes, not angled in. And the ball of the foot and big toe are staying on the ground. So those are some key points for a stable single leg position. Hips are square, slight bend of the knee and hip. Knee is centered over the foot or just outside, pressing down and flat through the big toe, and I can feel some work here. If you need to, play around with your position. Try a little more upright, try a little more down. If anything's uncomfortable, that's the first thing I would do, as long as it's not excruciating. And so if you're feeling your back or something's uncomfortable, try up a little taller, and then I can work there, or try down a little lower and kind of work there. So figure out what's best for you, but we want to feel back and side of the hips on both legs. Final mistake I sometimes see people make is they really flare their leg out. That's not the worst one in the world because the glute does a little bit of external rotation, but typically in movement, we want to move, if we're moving forward, we don't want to kind of flare the leg and have it circumduct around. And so try to roughly keep the feet pointed straight ahead. A little turnout's okay, but want to work on hopefully translating this into some glute activation into something where we're potentially moving forward, maybe moving in some different directions. So that's a kickback. I have various versions of this. This is the one I've been liking recently because it just gets a nice, this is called hip extension. So we're trying to train the glute to extend the hip. So get the leg behind us with power. And then we translate this. This is not the end all be all of glute exercises, but I might translate this to something like a lunge position or something where I'm really going to get a lot more force through the glute. But I often find a valuable first step is making sure we can feel it without the hamstring kicking on, the low back kicking on, or something else turning on. So pay attention to where you feel it, and if you don't, start with a little balance assist or the toe down, or try one of those other cues that I mentioned.